officially, I would like to welcome you to Paano Ba To, the podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here as well.
Do you have any idea what that means, Paano Ba To?
Nope.
Okay, so it's a Filipino phrase. It's sort of like what we say when we're faced with something and we're like, Paano Ba To? Like, how to do this?
Like the word like really or something?
It's more like, how the hell do I do this?
All right.
Yeah, how do I figure this out? That type of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there a phrase that you say in Thai that sort of means the same thing? Like, how do you do this?
In Thai would be... It's a kind of rude actually.
Okay.
We'll say it, เหี้ยอะไรเนี่ย
That doesn't sound rude at all.
Oh, but in Thai it's really, really, really rude. Yeah.
It translates in English too.
It's like, how the
Oh yeah, yes. But when you said it, please say it again.
เหี้ยอะไรเนี่ย
See, it's so... In Filipino, we call it malambing. It's said with love. Doesn't feel
Yeah, it's all about the
offensive
tone,
at
you
all.
know?
Yeah, it's all about the tone.
Yeah.
Hello, supers! This is Paano Ba To, the podcast, created and hosted by me, Bianca Gonzalez. And yes, you just saw Thai superstar Peach Chirathivat. He, yes, is the one from The Billionaires and Succeed many, many years ago. But more recently, in the Thai series on Netflix, The Believers. And Ticha, yes, that is him. And aside from being an actor, he's actually a serial entrepreneur with many businesses and brands under his belt. He is also an advocate for food security in Thailand, and in his 20s, he became a monk. Yes, as in a monk. He is only in his 30s but has a wealth of experiences, and he shares his journeys and lessons here on Paano Ba To. Let's get right to it. Okay, so we're gonna dive into a few things in your life where you've figured out something about life. You do so many things, right? You're obviously very driven, very passionate about different things that you do. Mm-hmm. You're very young, very accomplished. Where does that come from?
I just have like a kind of like itch that I need to scratch, you know. I was like, I need to do this, you know. Once I start to feeling like I want to do something, I really want to nail it. It's a kind of like OCD kind of thing in me that, you know, I just want to get it done and get it done right, you know. Like, for example, like, but most of the thing that I start with is not like an intention at all. You know, when I started doing film, I didn't plan to be an actor. It's like, that's the last job in my bucket list that I want to do. You know, like,
I did read about this. You went with your sister, who was actually the one trying out for a role, and then you were recorded and eventually got a role. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
You went to pretty deep.
I do my job. I research.
Really,
yeah.
really deep.
So acting found you, short of saying.
Yeah. Because when I was, since young, I'm such a quiet person, you know. I don't speak much. You know, I fail in all the speaking exam in school. You know, I don't like to speak. So when I got, you know, to record the video for acting, I thought I failed miserably, you know. But then they're like calling me like, you know what, we have a role. You might be suitable for it. Would you like to do it? So I'm like, all right, why not? Yeah. Right? But when I start doing it, I kind of feel like I really need to make it good. You know, it's a kind of how my mom and my dad really raised me up to nail what I'm doing well. Yeah. Otherwise, it's ways of others people's like opportunities, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I get that. It's like you were given that slot to make it, so you want to make the most of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned your parents, both of which are in business.
Yes.
And you actually took up business in school as well. Was that like the plan when you were growing up, and how'd that work out?
Well, the thing about business school is actually I did it out of, you know, anger actually, you know.
Anger.
Yeah, my dad really wanted me to do the engineer. Like he really wants me to be an engineer, So I did the opposite thing. You know, in Thai, there's the schooling system that you need to study certain subjects to be able to enroll
Right.
in certain fields. So I choose not to pick that class, you know, to piss my dad off.
Okay.
And that lands me into the business school.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't plan it that way. And I was like, okay, now I need to go to business school. And back then it was like, what is business? You know, I don't really want to do things with that. I want to be a musician. Like,
You wanted a different path for you?
yeah, it's like when you're teenagers, you kind of like to piss off your parents.
This is the rebellious stage, you
Yeah.
mean? Okay.
And I'm like a kind of person that doesn't like people to say like, oh, you have to do this. You know, I was like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to do this? Like, there's no reason for it. You know?
Right.
And my dad just said like, you should be an engineer. And I was like, but there's no reason for it. Right? Like, why?
Yeah.
It just because you want me to be an engineer, you know? Yeah.
So you wanted to chart your own path, and safe to say you made decisions based on that?
Yep.
Okay. You took a lot of risks based on what you are saying now and based on the things that I've read write-ups about you. And I have to put this out there because it's easy for people to say, especially for someone like you, that, oh, he has the resources to do that. His family is well off. It's easy for him to try many different things. But of course, that's one thing, but we know that it's much more than that. So I guess I wanted to ask, what do you feel are your qualities or traits that made you successful in your many paths that you wanted to take, aside from being stubborn? Of course.
That's a good quality, actually.
Yeah, in the right amount of stubbornness. Yeah.
Because I'm really a shy person, so I don't want to, you know, mess things up. Because I can't handle, you know, failing things, I guess.
Really?
Yeah. So whenever I do something, it's always in the back of my head, like, I can't mess this up because I can't handle failure well. That could be qualified as a good thing, right?
No, I get it. Yeah.
And I think I'm a kind of like, I think tenacity, it's a kind of, I think that it's my quality, you know.
Yeah. In the right dose. You mentioned that you don't like failing. However, again, in an interview, this is specifically from Lifestyle Asia in Thailand.
Okay.
I will read what you said to you.
Okay.
You said, well, this wasn't so long ago. I think this was like 2 years ago. You said, I've become a much calmer person. I ponder a lot more. I usually never thought about what I would say. My emotions and feelings would come before reason.
Yep.
And now I think a lot more.
Yep. That's true.
Still applies.
Yes.
Can you explain, like, what was you before in your early 20s versus you now?
Oh, I'm the most reckless person. You know, I did say a lot of things that I shouldn't said, like even politically as well that I shouldn't said back then, because I didn't know like the whole pictures of it, but I just feel.
Right.
And then it should be.
Wait, but you said you're shy.
Like, it's happened after you start acting, you kind of gain like that level of cockiness and confidence, and it somehow backfired me, you know, and that made me learn a lot as well about, you know, you need to think more, you need to use your brain more, you know, because I'm really, really like a hot-headed, like stubborn person. Just example, like I pissed my dad off. Feel like no point.
Yeah.
And it's made me learn a lot as well. So I've become quite slower in how I do things. I start to like think like through like more, like have a plan more. Back then it was like everything was like ad hoc, you know, like I just got to deal with it. Right. Never really have a plan. But now I start to think like, okay, I'm going to do this film, I'm going to do this business. How should I do it? You know, rather than just tackle it head on.
Yeah, that's what life does to you, I guess. And I agree that in our 20s, we're more reckless in a sense. And in our 30s, we're more, okay, let's think about this a little bit more. Just to rewind back, so when did your dad come to terms with you not being an engineer? And when was he like, okay, I get it. I see what you're doing.
I think once I start getting to the university and I was really, really, happy with it, he was like, okay, maybe you made the right choice. And then once I start doing business and it's started doing well, he was like, okay, you can go on and do your thing. Just be whoever you are, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked that because a lot of Filipinos are able to relate to that their parents sort of dictate to a degree what they want their kids to take up in college or university or what they want them to be when they grow up. And a lot of the people who write to Paano Ba To are in that dilemma. Like, I want to do this, but my parents expect me to do this.
Yeah.
And so how you have made decisions proves that it can be done. You can follow your heart.
Yeah. I think like whatever you do, you should follow like your gut instincts, like I want to do this, so just do it, but committed to it. I think that's the key word, like when you really think that you want to do something, you have to go to the ends of it.
Yeah.
You don't give up midway.
Right.
Yeah.
In that same article, you talked about coming to terms at this age with mistakes you've made in the past. And you've touched a bit about it earlier. But right now, in this phase in your life, what are your thoughts on dealing when you do take missteps? Because it doesn't go away, right?
Yeah.
Just because we're older doesn't mean we won't make wrong/stupid decisions. So
Yeah.
now, what's your mindset when it comes to that, dealing with, shit, I made a mistake?
It used to be the end of the world to me when I made a mistake.
Like you wanted the earth to open up and eat you alive. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, should I die when I make a mistake and stuff, But once I guess I'm not that old. But then the more you go through mistakes, you start to come to terms that in your life you will always make a mistake. It's unavoidable. That's a realities of it. But so you make mistakes as much as you can, but learn from it. I think that's the key thing. If you learn from it, then it's not really a failure. It is another way of just doing things wrong. It's like, it's a learning kind of process out of it. If you can take something away from that mistakes, it's a success by itself. Right. Yeah. At least you become more complete, you gain more insight, and you fucked it up less. Yeah. I think that's how I see it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I'm sure that lesson has shown itself to you many times because you have several businesses as well. What has that journey been like off camera, off the screens, in business mode?
Oh, it's really difficult. It's different from how I see it. I used to think that it should be easy, right? But along the way, there's a lot of like new learning things keep popping up. We start really young, me and my friends, since we graduated, we start doing business, and that's a potato corner, We didn't have a clue how to run a restaurant whatsoever, So on the first few stores, we need to carrying like bottled water to the store because we failed to do the right stock. We didn't know the inventory that well. So it's a kind of learning thing.
Yeah, birthing pains. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tricky, like we just have to figure it out by ourselves. Yeah. So it's not like something you can learn from the book.
Right.
Like we've been through business school. There's some like accounting terms, some of the technical stuff. But on the real world, it's different. It doesn't play by the book at all. Once you start figuring out the problem, you're like, it's something that I learned from school, but I don't know how it related to that. And then you figure it out, theories by yourself.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not really like a rosy journey at all, and especially in Thailand where everything shifts like quickly, people just like get on with something and then they get bored and then they
On
went
to
to
the
the
next.
next thing. So we need to keep on going, inventing new things. We
Yeah.
keep on doing new products all the time.
Yeah.
It's a kind of something that we didn't really know how to do it at the start.
So how did you learn how to do it eventually?
Well, some of it fell still, but we just got to keep trying. Then we have our expectations of it. We have more methodologies into it. We have more the target group discussion as well. We have more samplings. So we have that kind of thing as we go on. But the thing is, you just got to keep doing it and keep failing. Once you fail, you learn. Then you adapt, and then you fail again. And then it's just like the iteration loops of how it is. Yeah.
So in your career thus far, something, I guess, interesting happened during the pandemic, because it was when I'd say your eyes opened and became more passionate about food inequity.
Yeah.
And that's when you started your social enterprise.
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
It started out, the thing in Thailand, whenever there's like natural disaster or any crisis, right? All the actors or celebrity in Thailand has to do something. We have to be kind of like the first responder to like donate something. So I did the same thing. I was like, all right, everybody's doing it, so I guess I should do it too. So I do kind of like emergency package, with rice, with milk,
Same
water.
here in the Philippines. Yeah.
So I invest. Let me put into pesos. I'm trying to calculate it. Around like 100,000 of pesos to do 300 bags, and then I distribute it right in my local communities. Because at that time people were actually lying on the street. They can't afford to pay the rent, so they sleep on the side of the road. Yeah. So then, okay, we give it out, but then there's a weird question that pop up in my head, like, but what if I want to help more than that? How do I do it? It doesn't make sense if I went into work my ass off to make more bags and then donate it. It's not sustainable ways of doing it.
And the bag will last a week.
Pretty
Less,
much 3 days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what if you want to help more? And what if you want to not just help at 3 days, what if you want to help them for like a month? Because at that time, we don't know like how long the pandemic is going to be. Right. It doesn't make sense that you got to work to donate something. So then I was talking to my friend who is my co-founder as well. I was talking to him like, okay, so how do we make it work? Like, how do we help people on regular basis rather than like just one off and then it's done, right? So then we went through some mechanics, and then we see like social enterprise, and then it's like, it's a kind of hybrid thing between like foundations and businesses. So it's like, and in Thailand, it's right at that point they just recognize social enterprise as well as a different entities as well. So you can make revenue out of it, but then you have to give away 70% of the bottom line to the communities or to the societies, while 30% you can, grow your business, you can, pay yourself. It's a kind of the entity that was like, that's match what we should be doing. So we set it up, we get it pass all the process that they recognize us, so then we can do tax a kind of allowance.
Right.
And at that point, we start to bring all the food surplus from the upstream of Thailand. We drive down to like farms, we talk to like farmers, we're like, oh, okay, do you have anything that it's being thrown away that we could be repurpose it for good? So then we work with a lot of like local farms, the factories, and then we bring all the surplus food that is not eaten yet.
Right.
We bring it into our kitchen, and then we reprocess it, and then we sell it like super cheap. We have just margins of like 2 pesos per boxes. Yeah, just to help people, we try to cut down the food prices.
Right.
And with that, we got a call up from like government agency. They were like, okay, now Bangkok is going into a lockdown, the community lockdown. So especially in the slum area, they will lock down so nobody get out of the slum.
Right.
That means there will be no food.
Right.
They got locked down in their houses. So we're like, all right, so how could we help? We're like, so with this cheap food price, they could distribute to the whole Bangkok.
Wow.
So that's how we got started.
That is pretty impactful work.
Yes.
It's still going on till now.
Right now, we're kind of diverge a bit. So now we're more in the service side. We're more helping like NGOs. We're helping business sector to do something to help community as well. So we're more like a kind of like think tank. We're more like consultant based more.
Because it's called Aura Social Enterprise. Does Aura mean anything?
It's actually from Hebrew language. It's mean hope.
Wow.
It's like we took the word from the word oracle.
Yeah.
So my friend, he's Christian. So he came up with that word. And then it's a thing that we do is a kind of hope to people as well. And at that time, aura, the word oro, it means mouth. So it's like we're giving hope through like eating. That's how it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I read about this, it made so much sense because I 1,000,000% agree with how it's so unfair when you look at it. There is so much food wastage, undoubtedly, everywhere. But then on the other hand, so many people are hungry. So you and your team just found a way to marry that. And so I hope that a lot of other cities, countries can look into something like that because, there's definitely someone who can solve this problem or bridge that huge gap.
Yeah, I think we have our models, so we're more than happy to share it with people who really want to do it because it works by itself. It's break even as well, that model. Yeah, but we're more than happy to share our models, It works in crisis time, so it should work.
And I think that's such a great example because I always try to tell this to the younger generation or those who start in the entertainment business that when you do have some sort of following, some sort of voice and power, you can't just use it on yourself. There really has to be some way that you do something for some problem in the world, and that's exactly what you're doing. So good job.
Thank you. I think it's important though, it's like once you start to have power in your voice, then it matters, you got to use it, right? So the best way to use it is to use it for others, right? Because if people in power is not doing it, then nobody's gonna do it. So that's mean you are the one who gotta do it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to shift gears and ask you about something that's so interesting. 10 years ago, is that correct? 10 years ago, you did monkhood.
Yep.
Okay, so you are Buddhist.
Yes.
And 10 years ago, how does it work? Because in Catholicism, people trained to be a priest. Is that similar?
Yep.
Okay, so between acting with hit projects and running a business, how did becoming a monk enter the picture?
It's very rare for someone who just somehow just say I want to be a monk, right? But it happened to me. To be a monk, you have to reach 20 years old to be able to ordain as a monk. But before that, you're kind of like the junior monk,
right?
Which is less strict. Once I have a kind of plan in my head. Once I reach 20, I'm gonna do it because I just want to know how is it like, and I just really want to learn as well. How can I live in pretty much a chaotic world? Because I know myself, I'm a really the hard-headed person. So I just really want to know, like, how do I calm myself down? How do I learn to be a better person? Because I've been diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
So that's mean I will rely on medication, right? So my kind of weird brain was thinking like, what if there's no medicine? How do I navigate myself through
using
that?
your head?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to learn how to control myself. I'm going to learn how to, be calmer and understand more about myself. And then I just did that. I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, out of dinner, I was like, Mom, you know what? I'm going to be a monk. And I was like, what? Because it's a huge thing in Thailand to be a monk. It's like, it's a kind of very, very big thing that parent didn't actually expect you to do it. Normally they will ask you because it's a kind of thing that we learn that if your kids become a monk, your parents going to heaven.
Okay, yeah.
So most
That's
parents,
sort of like the good karma.
Yeah. So most parents, they ask their kid to be a monk. But I was saying that and my mom was like, what? She was shocked. Yeah. And then she was like, okay, if you want to be a monk, then fine. Yeah. And I did become a monk for like a month and a half.
Okay.
It was quite a journey. It's a kind of revelating for me. You learned a new ways of life. It's like they have their own rules, like 274 rules that you have to follow.
Right.
And you come from a different world, and now it's like you're learning like new language, like you have to be quite zen, awareness and everything. It's a kind of quite a good journey for me as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So a month and a half, you lived in the monastery.
Yes.
This was like with a strict schedule, I believe. Like the 200, how many is that?
74 rules.
Is that the one that they, like when you enter and there's some sort of ceremony, they write it over and over on paper or read it from a paper?
Yeah,
is that
we
the
read
one?
it,
Yeah.
So it's like you can't touch the money. You can't eat after 11. It's a kind of constantly doing IF. You can't stand and drink water. You can't drink alcohol, that kind of stuff.
Okay. A year ago, for my 40th birthday, I did a solo trip to Bhutan. So it's something that I had wanted to do in such a long time. And I was there 6 days.
Okay.
Obviously, every day was like temple day, prayer day. But as a Catholic, I still wanted to experience it. And it was so mind-opening for me that Buddhism and Catholicism are actually very, very, very similar. Like even the story of Buddha and the story of Jesus have many similarities.
Yep.
But I do believe in the ideas of Buddhism about happiness, about peace, about the poisons. It makes so much sense to me. And so that's why when I found out about this, I was like, that's so fascinating. You actually tried to be a monk. So I was only there on vacation for 6 days. And you were in it a month and a half. Like, how did that experience change you? Like, is there anything you learned from that you still carry till today?
Yeah, it's like you're aware more about emotions, like in kind of Buddhism concept, it's more like, no action, no reaction, right? If you catch the emotion before it emerges, then it's subside, right? If you're angry, right? And you aware that you're going to be angry, once you start raise a question in your mind, you stop feeling angry. It's a kind of that kind of thing that I've been learning from my experience as a monk, and then I still doing it now. You start to aware more about how things works, how your head is going, where your mind actually right now, where you're going to feel. Yeah. And then it's actually helped me do my acting work better as well because you're aware more. You become more sensitive to emotion better. Like you kind of start to sense like, this is anger, but it's more kind of, I see it in color, you know, it's an anger, but it's more blue than the other kind of anger, which is orange-ish. You know, you see like subtle details about emotion, and then you start to relate to people more as well because you're kind of gauging emotion through them as well. That's what I took from it. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. And it seems that it's so serendipitous because fast forward to today, the project that you have out right now, The Believers, which is on Netflix. I shared with you earlier, I finally got to watch the pilot episode. The plot is exactly that. It has something to do with the life of 3 startup founders who get into trouble and turn to Buddhism or turn to religion to sort of solve their problems.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, like how the world is really round. You started there and ended up doing a project like this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm only on episode 1, but it's really compelling. Yeah. I mean, what a project. What, like, to even have that on air.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, really?
It's really rare, yes. Like, because most of the film about monk in Thailand got banned from screening.
Banned because?
Because they don't want people to raise question about the dark side of it. You know, they want everything to be like, it's happy place, you know, everything is good. But I mean, if we look at the news in Thailand, it's keep popping up now and every time again, like the monk is doing like really, really bad things. It's a kind of thing that we start to raise a question as well, whether like, is it right that we are believing in this religion or not? And that's how the series all about, because we start to raise a question as well. Like in our intention, we believe that, you know, all kinds of religion is good. You know, like the religion wants people to be better, right? They want to at least be there when people, you know, want to lean on to something. I think that's a goal of any religion. But what makes things wrong is the people, you know, like bad people went into things that will pretty much corrupt the whole system apart. And we want to tell the story about like how people actually go in and corrupt the whole system, you know, and we want people to raise a question like, is this the right thing to do? How can we monitor them better? How can we make our religion good again? How can we make things cleaner and more transparent so that it becomes good again? Yeah, I think that's the whole plot it's about.
I mean, how did that make it on air also? Because I totally get it that, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but basically the 3 use religion to sort of get money from people to get themselves out of money trouble. And so, if all the other monk content have been banned, how did this make it through?
It's the genius of the director, you know. He wrote the script, and then he was doing something that nobody else has been doing. He sent the script to the related agency about like Buddhists. So he just sent it. I'm gonna be doing this series, this film. Is this good enough to be screening? Is this okay? Or is it going to be banned?
Right.
He just sent it right before even the shooting began to get it vetted. Like, is it okay?
Yeah.
And then somehow, luckily, the agency was like, yep, let's do it. And he's like, okay.
He had the support of this Buddhist organization / agency.
Because most of the film that got banned, they've started filming, right? They never sent anything to any film board, so everyone just know it right before showing, and then they're just being conservative, so they just block everything. But so he did the other way around. He's just like, just said it out. Like, I'm gonna be doing about this. So you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know? And then luckily that we work with Netflix as well really helps.
Right. And like I mentioned, I only saw the first episode, but now it seems to me that more than painting an ugly picture of what goes on inside temples, it's more to pique curiosity from viewers, to ask questions, to start to not take everything at face value.
Yes.
Which is actually what Paano Ba To is all about as well, right? You just constantly have to ask questions and be curious about things, which is something that you have as a trait as well.
Yeah.
For sure. And siguro I wanted to end this conversation with exactly that. So your character Game,
Yep.
as well as Win
And Dia. The girl called Dia. Like, Dia.
Deer.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a really huge problem. You like owe the shark like so much money, like a
100 million
bajillion
pesos
yeah, like
around.
that.
Yeah.
That's such a big problem. That is literally what you said earlier, that you want the earth to open up and eat you alive, right? So I guess to anyone, not exactly in that situation, but to anyone listening to this who feels they have a problem that's so overwhelming and they don't even know where to start or how to fix it. Based on everything you've been through in life, what advice would you give them to slowly like claw their way out of whatever problem they're going through?
Wow, the problem in series is way too big.
Yeah, that's super big in our own little world. Our normal human problems.
No, I think the first thing is you need to be calm. Like that's I think the first rule is to not make any decision at the heat of the moment. You got to be really, really calm about how things are going, because, you know, I will use like this kind of example. Like when friends have a problem and they come to ask you, you kind of give like a right solutions to the problem. But once it's happening to you, you know, you become too attached in the situation, right? Then you make a rash decision that sometimes it's too late to fix. So the first thing I think is to be calm, and then, you know, you look from the different perspective of like, how do we navigate things? And then I think if you don't know the answer, ask for help. You know, because what the character did in the series is like they don't ask for anyone help. They just think like we need to figure it out ourselves. I think that's how things fall apart.
Yeah.
You know, so ask people if you don't know anything. I think that's would be my take on any problems.
Yeah. That's excellent, doable advice. Thank you so much, Peach.
Thank you.
I absolutely enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
And side note to everyone who is listening or watching this right now, so before we started recording, apparently we have a common friend, Mr. Enchon Lee, who everyone in the Philippines knows. I sent him our picture and said, "Hey, I'm happy you got to meet him. May work kayo ngayon. Do we have work together?" So yeah, I'll reply later. But of course, thank you so much for making time for this interview. I loved all the stories and advice you gave. And again, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
The Believers.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well. It's truly an honor. It's a good fun to like, you know, to think of things that I've never really think about as well.
Oh, that's awesome. By the way, he did not know any of the questions at all coming into this. So that was all from the heart, nothing rehearsed. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This episode was actually originally released in May 2024, but only on audio and Spotify, and just a portion on YouTube. So I decided to release it again in full because there are so many life lessons to be learned from Peach. So again, thank you to Peach, thank you to Pia Campos, and maraming salamat for joining us for this episode. This is Paano Ba To, the podcast, created and hosted by me, Bianca Gonzalez, produced by Anika Neri, and edited by Paolo Halili. I would love for you to be part of our community of supers. First, in case you aren't following this yet on Spotify, please click the follow button. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram at Paano Ba To, on TikTok at Ask Paano Ba To. And we also have our private Facebook group, the Paano Ba To Super Group. So yes, till our next episode, stay super, supers!